One of the things you mentioned is therapy and going to a therapist.
Mhm.
How did you come to the conclusion that you were going to go to a therapist?
I knew that I needed to go to a therapist really after I settled into entrepreneurism enough, like 2017, 2018, to understand how frantic my life had been at that point for like 5 years. I got expelled from college in 2012, finished in 2013, and left my job in 2016 and 2017, 2018. I finally got to a space where I was doing more than treading water. Like I wouldn't say I was fully thriving, but I was able to focus again back on what should be true in my life. And my wife would also, my girlfriend at the time would also just help me to understand. She was in therapy every week. And she would also like point things out to me that were patterns that I wasn't seeing for myself. And so I knew I had to go. And really, I finally, I got healthcare again. And my wife actually pushed me. One of the first things I worked through in therapy was my fear around like spending money to invest in myself. So she helped me to get over the hump with that, and I've gotten better with that. But that kind of sequence of events and just realizing how me being scared to invest in myself was hurting me in so many ways and costing me so much more than whatever I could be spending on myself.
How have you started investing in yourself?
I mean, man, me and my wife right now. We just we're renting a house for the first time. So that's beautiful. We paid for movers. I'm sitting here in this ergonomically designed desk chair with a desk that like moves up and down with some Dre headphones next to me. And really just like we are prioritizing our comfort now so that like we can do our best work and be our happiest, you know what I mean? Um, and I think it just like the understanding that whatever I put into myself and put into my family is going to come back tenfold.
Mm.
I think that, and just understanding that like my happiness like can be present now. I don't have to like make it in a certain way. So anything that kind of builds off that, just from like maybe giving myself a little more slack to order off Uber Eats, bringing in people to help me with parts of my business that I'm just not the best at, leaning on those people to help me in those different areas. I would say are things that come to mind as well. And then, if the pandemic, like now I'm going to physical therapy uh, twice a week because I've had like this recurring neck and back pain. So again, like I can't be at my best, doing this like very detail oriented client work if I'm walking around like this and like serious pain all the time. So bunch of different things, man.
I love it. And going back to the therapy piece, you have been very open about the fact that you're going to therapy, and that's it's awesome to see.
Mhm.
How did that play? Was there any hesitancy for you to say, "Okay, I'm going to put myself out there and tell people about my journey of what I'm doing"?
I think I had less hesitance about that because I've already kind of thrown myself out there a few years ago, talking about my struggle with leaving my day job for the first time. And when it came time to therapy, I knew that I was leaving a part of my life where I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression. I knew I was in a bit of a dark space, and like I'm like, okay, like I'm getting the help that I need. This is nothing, to be ashamed of or to stigmatize. I'm happy about it. I have friends who I think could also really use therapy. And I already kind of believed before I even got it for myself, and I say this pretty often, that if everybody had therapy, we'd be in a better place. So I'm like, I get on Twitter and I'll use self-deprecating humor and I'll joke around too. And I've always felt comfortable, having that degree of openness. So it's like, let's take it a step further. This is my experience. I'm happy. So no, I didn't have a problem with putting that out there at that point.
And have you gotten any pushback?
Honestly, no. And I'm sure there's people who like don't say anything, right? Like there's always people who are, talking about it and talking to you about it. I'm sure there's somebody somewhere is like, wow, he got therapy. That's crazy or whatever else. But I also talk about mental health and just like bettering yourself pretty often. So I feel like if you were to like eyeball it, you'd be like, Mikel probably is not going to be somebody to be against therapy,